London in the 1700s was a city defined by extremes. It was a booming metropolis, home to more than 500,000 people, yet constantly wrestling with disorder, danger, and rapid change. This was a place where opportunity and chaos existed side by side, shaping a city that would eventually become the modern capital we recognize today. This era marked a powerful transformation. In the West End, elegant squares began to rise, symbols of wealth and order. Visionary architects such as Sir Christopher Wren reshaped the skyline, rebuilding London in grand, confident styles following the devastation of the Great Fire of 1666. Today, thanks to advanced AI technology, we are able to recreate these long-lost scenes with remarkable accuracy. By carefully analyzing original 18th century paintings and engravings, we can reconstruct how London likely appeared, its buildings, streets, people, and atmosphere, allowing us to step back nearly 3 centuries and experience the city as Londoners once knew it. What you are seeing now is an extraordinary bird's-eye view of mid-18th century London. Looking upriver along the Thames from a point that would later become the site of Tower Bridge, this view reveals the beating heart of Georgian London. At the time, it was the world's largest port and the center of global commerce. Dominating the skyline is Sir Christopher Wren's magnificent St. Paul's Cathedral, completed in 1710 after the Great Fire destroyed much of the medieval city. To the right stands the Monument to the Great Fire, a permanent reminder of the catastrophe that reshaped London forever. The Thames itself is crowded with sailing ships and rowing boats. This river was London's main highway, alive with trade flowing in from across the British Empire. Notice the old London Bridge, still lined with houses and shops, just as it had been for centuries. This single image captures London at the height of its Georgian prosperity, poised between its medieval past and its future as a global superpower. Now we move to the iconic view from One Tree Hill in Greenwich Park, looking northwest toward London in the mid-18th century. You are standing at a location that would later become one of the most scientifically important points on Earth. In 1884, Greenwich was chosen as the site of the prime meridian, the 0 point from which all global longitude is measured. Below lies the elegant Queen's House, framed by the grand colonnades of Greenwich Hospital, completed in 1751 as a home for retired naval seamen, Britain's answer to Les Invalides in Paris. These architectural masterpieces by Christopher Wren and Nicholas Hawksmoor were bold statements of Britain's naval power and maritime dominance. Greenwich served as the gateway to London for sea trade, and from this elevated viewpoint, visitors could survey the entire approach to the capital. The well-dressed figures in the foreground are enjoying what was considered one of England's finest prospects, a view that has inspired artists and writers for over 3 centuries and remains remarkably unchanged today. Next, we arrive at Leicester Square in the mid-18th century, then one of London's most fashionable residential addresses. The grand building dominating the square is Leicester House, built in 1635 for the Earl of Leicester, and later home to several members of the royal family, including Frederick, Prince of Wales. The square became a magnet for artistic talent. William Hogarth lived and worked at number 31 on the right, his home marked by a bust of Van Dyck above the doorway. Across the square, at number 47, Sir Joshua Reynolds established his portrait studio in 1760, painting many of the era's most influential figures. At the center of the square stands the equestrian statue of King George I erected in 1753. By this time, Leicester Fields had fully transformed from open farmland into one of London's most desirable neighborhoods, though its days as an elite residential square were numbered. Within decades, entertainment would replace aristocracy as the area's defining identity. Our journey continues to the south bank of the Thames, looking across the river toward the Tower of London, Britain's most formidable fortress. For over 700 years, the tower controlled access to the city from the river, its massive stone walls projecting royal authority. At the heart of the complex stands the White Tower, the enormous Norman keep begun by William the Conqueror in 1078, built using can stone imported from France. By the 18th century, the tower served many roles at once: royal palace, prison, armory, mint, and secure home of the crown jewels. The waterfront shown here was the main entrance for prisoners arriving by barge through Traitor's Gate, including Anne Boleyn and Sir Thomas More, both brought here before their executions. The sailing vessels crowding the Thames remind us that this river remained London's commercial lifeline, with everything from royal barges to merchant ships passing under the tower's watchful gaze. Now we step into the bustling courtyard of the Royal Exchange in the 18th century, where global commerce converged in a single, magnificent space. Founded by Sir Thomas Gresham in 1565 and modeled on the Antwerp Bourse, this was England's first purpose-built trading centre. Merchants from around the world gathered here twice daily in the open-air courtyard, trading sessions announced by the ringing of a bell from the tower above. Imagine the scene. Deals shouted in dozens of languages, the rustle of bills of exchange, the scratch of quills signing contracts. The arcaded galleries on multiple levels housed shops selling luxury goods, books, and maps, while Lloyd's of London operated its early insurance business from these very walkways. This single building helped transform London into a financial superpower, inspiring stock exchanges from New York to Hong Kong. Next, we arrive at St. James's Square in the mid-18th century, the very pinnacle of aristocratic London and one of the city's most exclusive addresses. Developed in the 1660s, the square attracted England's wealthiest elites, dukes, earls, and prime ministers competing for residences. What you see here reflects royal gardener Charles Bridgeman's redesign in the 1720s. At the center, he installed an elegant circular basin 150 feet wide, surrounded by 8 stone obelisks, topped with lamps enclosed in ornate ironwork. Before this transformation, residents described the square as muddy, neglected, and chaotic, entirely unsuitable for such prestigious homes. In the distance, the spire of St. James's Church rises above the rooftops. Within decades, the square would evolve from residential grandeur into the clubs, businesses, and institutions that occupy it today. Finally, we arrive at Cheapside, the bustling commercial heart of Georgian London. The name comes from the Old English word cheap, meaning marketplace, and for centuries this was where fortunes were made. The elegant steeple towering above the street belongs to St. Mary le Bow, another masterpiece by Christopher Wren rebuilt after the Great Fire. Its famous bow bells defined what it meant to be a true Cockney. Anyone born within their sound could claim that proud title. Along this wide avenue, merchants sold everything from silks and jewelry to books and exotic spices. The rows of shops lining both sides were among the most expensive retail spaces in the world. This wasn't just a street, it was the Oxford Street and Wall Street of the 1700s combined, where London's merchant class built empires one transaction at a time. History has left us thousands of remarkable engravings and paintings like these from cities across the world. Moments frozen in time, waiting to be brought back to life. So tell us in the comments, which city would you like to see revived next? Your choice could feature in our next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next journey through history.